What's up, guys? And welcome to another episode of the Weekly. Joining me, as always, the one and only Dutchrudder. How's it going?
Hey, doing great, doing great. Ready for
I'm
a
happy to hear it.
Friday full, just chock full of topics and news today. This is crazy. This is probably
Yes.
the most stuff we've had happen in a single week since we started doing this, and it never seems to shut down. It's crazy.
Yep, I keep thinking each week we're like, man, there's so much to cover this week. What an extraordinarily busy week.
Right?
And
Yeah.
it's always top the following week. So
This, yeah, this is a game that has a lot of commotion surrounding it, for sure.
we're going to run down all the hot topics of the week. And we're going to be drinking as we go because sometimes video games drive you to drink a little bit. And this is how we deal with it. So, would you like to tell us what you're drinking?
Yeah, so tonight I am drinking Elijah Craig Barrel Proof. It's actually a 2019 batch, and it is 67.6% alcohol. It is a very, very strong, punchy in the mouth kind of bourbon, but it is quite wonderful and delightful. Of the high proof bourbons, this is absolutely one of my favorites, and it's really not that expensive. It's like $50 a bottle, if you can find it though. But it's very sought after, and it is excellent. They do a couple of batches it's usually every quarter they have a new one. Well worth checking out if you get a chance.
I'm mixing it up a little bit this week.
Yeah.
We were originally planning on doing some tequila, so I've had this for a while. Some Patron Silver. I don't know what you can get it for. I know that I paid $50 for that bottle, but I don't know if it's
Sounds about
$50
right.
a bottle.
It's a little
Regularly.
step up from the Bud Lights and the White Claws, right?
So they say. Not really my expertise, but I am going to be putting that in some fresh squeezed orange juice. We had, and it's I forget the name of them, but the really small oranges.
Yeah, the cuties? Is that what you're using?
Yeah, yeah. But there's some other name for them, but yeah, we had a bunch of those lying around, and I was like, let me make some fresh squeezed orange juice, throw some tequila in that, and we got a drink. So
Yeah.
that's what I'm doing tonight.
Exactly. I think it's called a
Looking forward to
tequila
it.
sunrise, actually, is the proper name for that drink. Revenant Shake It calendar continuation here. So the first one up this week is the Proxima Midnight double shards that happened. If you don't have Proxima 7 stars, she is of course a very, very good control character. I really like her. I took her to DD3 myself, and she really made the difference in those cosmic nodes. And I think she is just one of those characters that's a little bit underrated because she's just so squishy. She's very easy to swat down. She's the primary target whenever fighting Black Order, especially with Black Order. So you do want some good stars on her because if she stays alive and stays upright for a while, it can make that fight drag on and you could potentially win it, especially when it's Black Order on Black Order in Arena.
I couldn't agree more, but yeah, she's a very, very good character. She was an absolute hero in the cosmic section of DD4. And yeah, just starting off with 4 people getting 2-turn offense down is amazing. And then her stun, it's not only a stun, it's also a slow and a 50% speed bar rewind. So you're locking someone up for so long because you're stealing half their speed bar. Then you're slowing them, so it's going to take them twice as long to get that back. Then they have to get to the end of that turn just to shrug off the stun to go a whole nother turn while they're still slowed before they can go again. So, yeah, she's just incredible at controlling people.
Yeah, definitely. And if you have skill tech nodes in the Greek raids, pairing her with Ghost is also really nice because she gets that stun off and then Ghost can extend it with her ult and the slow as well. It's a nasty combo. Alright, next one we have is Ebony Maw, came back this week. He was available as a legendary unlock, and of course you need the 5 inhuman characters, but one of them must be Black Bolt. So I know when I unlocked this, I left Yo-Yo out of mine because I've never 7-starred her actually, but Miss Marvel is a nice fill-in for the rest of the inhumans along with Black Bolt. Definitely one of the more difficult legendaries to unlock, I would say, especially for newer players because of the Black Bolt hard lock on it. And so he is an excellent character all around, especially for Dark Dimensions and raids if you can use him, depending on the trait-specific categories. But I love Ebony Maw. I have 6 reds on him, and I couldn't be happier with that. He is awesome.
Yeah, I think he's a top 5 character in the game right now. Would you agree?
Top 5? Yeah. I've never done a solo tier list, so it's hard to say. I can't really guarantee I would put him top 5, but he's absolutely top 10, I would say. I don't know. He'd be kind of on the cusp of 5, I think. I think he'd be right there, 5,
right.
6, 7.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I was saying. I do think he's firmly in the top 5, but yeah, I think he's right on the outside of that top 5. But yeah, I mean, he just does so much. Super fast, giant health bar, makes an amazing healer, comes out the gate, indiscriminate, 2-turn offense down for all enemies, 2-turn defense up for all allies. That alone is just 2 turns of extreme safety, unless they're gonna undo a lot of that, but it puts them on the back foot to have to. And then the very next turn, giant health steal. Even by himself, he's gonna give his team a little bit of speed bar and steal a little bit of speed bar from the enemies. Can be a big difference maker. There's so much utility behind that basic because it hits multiple times. And yeah, it's just great. Like, he's just such a fantastic character.
Yeah, his health drain comes into handy sometimes when you have characters that trigger things when they go below like half health. Because if you drain past it, especially with like Hulks in the Doom Raid and stuff, sometimes those come up. That can make the difference because then they don't get that auto turn and then taunt and get all their health back and then smash you. So that can be really useful. So this week we also had a return of the Relic Hunt on Friday. We get a whole bunch of catalysts, various types, purple and orange, which is really nice if you're done with the final level of it. I got 50 SBCs per pool, so that was 150 SBCs, which is great because I know that I need about 750 to finish my legendary characters for DD4. That was very nice to have in my pocket. How about you? Did you put these to use in anything interesting this week?
Sure didn't. But no, the reason for that is, as we've discussed a few weeks now, and I understand these are first world problems, so when I talk about this, I don't expect anyone to be like having any sympathy. They're like, weren't you just talking about your Dr. Doom and your Gear Tier 15 arena characters? Like, cry me a river, guy. And I get that. But I don't get to make use of Relic Hunt because the Origin gear, there's a massive drought of Origin gear. When you finish DD4, you get a healthy amount of catalysts. Could definitely benefit from more. You get a generous amount of Gear Tier 15 minis, but you don't get hardly any Origin gear. So, like, I have taken a single member of my Astonishing X-Men to Gear Tier 15, and I've been waiting and farming every single day for the, I think it's called the Spliced X gene, so that I can take a second character just up to Gear Tier 14, and I almost have enough to take one more character up to Gear Tier 14, because I cannot farm these Spliced X genes and these isomers and these superior molecules. I just can't get any of it anywhere near quickly enough. So I'm doing fine on SBCs for now. I'm always happy to have more, but no, I can't spend them really because I can't even take someone to Gear Tier 14. So.
All right, the next thing we have is this week, the beta raid came back around, and we've been doing that at 4.2 for my alliance because we're trying to finish the Moon Knight raid milestones, and it's much easier to use nocturnal heroes when you're doing 4.2 rather than 4.3. Granted, we only do 4.3 on weekends, on Sundays, when it's an off war day or something, so we don't really push for those because we try to, like, keep it chill for the most part. We're trying to reduce time. We're a Blitz guild or a Blitz alliance is what we call ourselves. Try to focus more on casual gameplay for the most part because it's too stressful to constantly grind. But with these beta raids, I've noticed that on 4.3, some of these nodes are really tough towards the end, especially the skill tech nodes can get pretty rough if you don't send at least 2 people down that path. So how are you doing with your alliance? What are you guys doing? What's your approach to beta raids right now?
We are primarily doing difficulty 2 instead of difficulty 3, and for the same reason, we can easily 100%, and we can get the Moon Knight raid milestones done. So yeah, I don't think we've done a difficulty 3 in a while, but I forget if I think there might be one of the Greeks that we can 100% of difficulty 3, but for the most part, we get about 60% on the Greek difficulty 3s. Because yeah, especially towards the end, they're tough as heck, and they're kind of designed where if you have the right characters in the game right now at tier 15, you'll be okay. So like you'd said, like the skill tech nodes, there are a very good amount of tech characters, but those nodes are especially ruthless, and even like my 7 red star Shuri is getting one shot if she doesn't have defense up.
Exactly.
At the moment that she's getting hit. So it's like, I can't make her any stronger. I can just hope that, her defense up doesn't get dispelled and then she doesn't get follow-up hit by someone else. Yeah, with the skill characters, it's like, Night Nurse is a viable skill character now, but if she's not, gear tier 14 or 15 anyway, they're just going to take her right out. So the characters are there, but I don't think a lot of people have the properly diversified teams for all the Greek raids.
Yeah, and then as an alliance management standpoint, you have to think about, like, I need 6 people that can do these things, right? And that's the other challenge, is trying to figure out, okay, who can actually do these and then do those? And there's a lot of balance to it that's kind of a pain, because not everybody builds their roster the same way. So it is a bit of a challenge from an alliance management perspective to try to make sure that when you do go for that 100% push on the 4.3 difficulty, that you can actually finish it. And I know when we did that with the previous raid, the alpha raids, we barely missed it by like 2 nodes or something, because somebody just had a really crap luck and just bombed out on a node that they normally beat, and there's nobody to help because of the way that the lines work. It's just like this guy, and he couldn't heal either, otherwise it would have been fine. So just something to think about, especially with these Greek raids as they rotate. We're still not getting the heal ban lifted, which I find kind of surprising. I thought it was only going to be a temporary thing, but it appears to be permanent at this point. And that's surprising to me, because I didn't think that would be the case. Okay, next topic real quick. Iceman was added to the Elite store, so you can upgrade him with your Elite token credits if you'd like to upgrade his red stars. I got him at 6 reds. I believe you had a pretty good pool on him too, so I don't think either one of us will be utilizing this.
Yeah, I couldn't even if I wanted to. Let me just brag for a minute, but I don't think I can do much with my 7 red star Iceman when it comes to the Elite store.
Yeah, first world problems, right?
for sure. No,
so real quick,
not mad at all.
So for somebody who's maybe more like, a 7 million power player or something like that, going through Greek raids, or even just trying to push an Ultimus, what do you think is a good red star level for an Iceman for Axeman rating?
4 or 5.
Yeah, I think he gets by pretty well on that.
Like, I'm never upset when I get an amazing red star pull for a new character, so this is not me being like, no, I'm so mad I got 7 red Iceman. Like, no, that is way up there on the list of pulls I could have gotten. That said, though, of all the members on that team, I think he's the last member of the team I would have wanted the 7 red on his own team. He doesn't really need it. Jubilee is a legendary. She's plug and play. Would have loved her at 7 red. Beast is doing a tremendous amount of healing, and his survival is absolutely essential. So I would have loved to have him at 7 red. Bishop, obviously, I don't even need to explain that one. And then Kitty, my 5 red Kitty, still failing to land a bunch of her control abilities. So I would have liked to have her at 7 red because it would have actually made her reliable. So.
Yeah, if you could interchange them among a team, that would be really interesting to see how that would work and what it would cost to do that. But yeah, that would be quite an interesting mechanic if they added something like that, to be able to swap red stars among your own roster and charge you for it somehow. That would be, I don't know, that would be an interesting capability. I haven't seen that in a game before. All right, the next topic that came up this week is they sent out a survey to a limited number of players. I did not get this survey. I think we talked about a survey last week as well, which I did not get and you did not get. Did you get the survey this week?
Yes, I did.
Oh, really?
I filled it out on stream, yeah.
All right. How'd that go?
It's pretty interesting. They were actually asking for feedback, less about like what should we do going forward, and more about like, we've made a lot of changes lately. What have been your reactions to them? So it's been all sorts of stuff. How did you like the new characters? What do you factor in when buying new characters? How did you like the new event? Did you feel it was fair? What did you like? What didn't you like? But yeah, it's basically like we want to understand how you've reacted to what we've done lately. Okay. That's basically the gist of it. And then at the end, they had some interesting, like, how much do you like your alliance? What why, would you switch? What would you look for if you were going to switch? All that. So.
really asking people to re-examine themselves and their alliance, huh?
Yeah, I do worry that a lot of the things that they asked were phrased in a way where you won't get people being entirely honest. You know, like they were asking people like, what makes you decide to buy a new character? And there were all kinds of options like, I like the character, I like the kit, an influencer. It was close to I just got my paycheck, whatever it is. Plenty of people, the truth is like, if they happen to have just gotten paid, they're way more likely to buy the new character. But they're not going to admit that. Like, no, I only buy characters I think are good. And meanwhile, it's like, why do you think they're good? Like, because the people I talked to in my alliance said they were good, or whatever it is. So
I can't tell you how many mobile games have releases of big stuff coming the next week, basically, in lieu of the stimulus checks going out in the U.S. And I guarantee you that's exactly what they're targeting. They're like, oh, we want people to have an influx of money, and then be like, what do I spend it on? Derp, derp, derp.
Have you not heard people referring to Silver Surfer as Stimulus Surfer?
Stimmy Surfer, yes, exactly. And they're trying to fight with the Wall Street Bets crowd. They don't want you to invest in GameStop. They want you, the GameStop stock. They want you to invest in Silver Surfer stock. So we'll see how that goes and see who wins that battle. But I have a feeling, with all the hype, it's going to be hard to outlast Silver Surfer.
A lot of people are going to buy Silver Surfer.
Oh my god,
for sure. I'm seeing already all the comments like. At least like a third of the comments like, I don't care about the state of the game. I love Silver Surfer. He's mine day one.
Alright, and this week we had a new milestone event come back, which is really just kind of a copy and paste of the Red Guardian event. It is Moon Knight featured in the orbs this time, but the tactics and the way that you get him is largely the same. I actually made a spreadsheet and a video on this just to go over the differences between this and Red Guardian. And the major difference that I saw was the addition of ISO 8 as a option for farming these orbs, which is really nice. That gives you another avenue. However, they did increase the amount of points you need to finish the personal milestones, and they decreased the time of the event overall from 12 days to 10 days. So as far as the alliance milestones go, you do have a little less time to actually achieve those. So if you're kind of one of those middle tier alliances, you may have a little trouble finishing all, I think it was 93,000 points. So keep that in mind. But I did make a sheet for this, shameless plug, but you should check it out. If you have an alliance, you can put your numbers in there and it'll tell you whether or not you're on target to meet the 10-day goal. It does help quite a bit. I get a lot of good feedback on those, and a lot of people really enjoy those just because it helps them make sure that they are doing what they need to. And if not, you can always use the leaderboard in those milestones to go and check and see who's dragging on those points and try to encourage them to use those nocturnal characters. Be nice about it, though. You'll definitely get better results when it comes to trying to prod along your alliance members. But I gotta say, I'm actually fairly satisfied with this event so far. I didn't think it was too bad. It is a little heavy on the blitz, but honestly, every event we've had like this has been heavy on blitzing, or at least there's a requirement to get those orbs. How did you feel about this event? What do you think the response and encouraging the community to do all these general daily tasks to earn Moon Knight orbs and potentially get more shards for him?
So we had a stream where we spent like a couple hours just doing so much math and basically factoring in like every angle that you could have to maxing all these milestones. And this one is pretty demanding. It is doable, but what I found interesting is it's slightly misleading. And this isn't really like a major thing, but so we basically mathed it out that if you're gonna max out the raid milestones, which is kind of up to you and your alliance, but it's certainly doable. Admittedly, like some of the raids, like the beta raid, is much tougher when you're limiting yourself to nocturnal characters. And since you can't heal or revive, like it's definitely a more dangerous prospect.
That's true.
But it's definitely at least doable. So if you can do that one, the other one is opening the orbs, which we'll get to, and then there's the one doing blitz, which if you have a full 30 blitz teams and you own every nocturnal character, it came out to like 3.59 rotations per day would max out your that one, assuming that you did all 5 arena matches with all 5 nocturnal characters. But you could round that up to like almost a 4th blitz rotation and just skip the arena. But
because there's 3 Black Order characters that are nocturnal, so if you just do your Black Order attacks and then do like 4.5 rotations, basically meets their minimum requirement for that particular milestone.
Yep. But what was interesting is if you do all of the raid milestone and all of the blitz milestone, assuming that we have the drop rate on the orb frags from blitz pretty well nailed down, you will fall just short of being able to complete the orb opening milestone. You will either need to just buy like a couple orbs for cores, or you will need to do a little bit of extra blitzing on top of the blitzing you need for the blitz milestone to actually hit it. So, like, I don't mind that, but I do find it a little bit silly that, like, the one is like, oh, you're going to be getting the orbs from everything else you're doing, and then this is a milestone for opening the orbs, and it's like, okay, I completed fully everything else I had to do, still need a couple more orbs.
Yeah. I basically found with my math, I was just, if you're doing about 6 rotations with about 25 wins per rotation, that should get you right at 70 orbs. If you're maxing your ISO 8 campaign spend, you're doing your 5 arena battles a day, you're doing all this other stuff, like you max all those milestones each day, and assuming that your alliance completes the alliance milestone challenge. And it's a little bit daunting, but at the same time, like, I've already tracked ours, and we're way ahead. We're like 20% ahead of where we should be on the milestones for the raid stuff. And we were doing Doom Raid when this launched, which we don't normally do. But it really just depends on your roster and what you have built, too, because a lot of these Nocturnal characters are relatively new characters, too, right? All the Shadowlands and stuff, so I haven't built Shadowlands myself. At least not to a point where I could raid with them, especially not in Doom. So they're on the way, but that is something to consider. So I don't think it's too bad, though. I think it's very similar to Red Guardian, but I think the big difference is those 2 days, right? 12 versus 10 days for the same basic milestone point totals for the most part. I think that's pretty significant, losing, 20% of the ability to earn points. That's going to hurt a lot of the mid-tier alliances. All the top 50 alliances should be able to knock these out no problem for all the alliance-wide milestones. I think when you get beyond top 100, you're going to have trouble, and I think that's where they may miss like a milestone or two, and that's going to be a little bit sad for them. A little bit of remorse there, but we'll see. Maybe they can push through if they plan ahead. So this week we saw the change in the Mojo Mayhem RTA objectives, and the new season is born. The big change, of course, is Scream is the featured character this month, so that's, I'm sure, going to be a benefit to a lot of players who don't have her at 7-star. I personally don't have her at 7-star. I have her at 5 stars, so I definitely need a lot of Scream shards here. And they did change the objectives quite a bit. So instead of having the daily 10 abilities per random character, they switched that to knockouts for both of them. So now instead of 25 knockouts a day, you need 50 to finish the dailies. And then they've also changed the 30 team abilities to 45 class abilities. So that could vary based on like Mystic or Tech or whatever. So that's something else to consider. And then the weekly objectives, they removed one of the large objectives. So now we have, instead of random assignments of teams and types and all that stuff, we just have hero villain at 550 uses of abilities per week. We also have 550 of a random class, so that could be your Tech, your Mystic, your Brawler, whatever, those sort of things. And then the 50 single character abilities are still there of 2 random characters, and then the 150 class times 2, as well as hero villain 150 is still there for the weeklies. And so all this kind of culminates in a situation where you have to do a bit more on the daily side and a little less on the weekly, but it makes more RTA matches for you per day if you want to max your milestones, and potentially be done by about the end of week 3 or early into week 4 of the RTA season. So, man, I don't know. I'm a little bit split on how I feel about these objective changes and how it impacts the game itself. How do you feel about this, Khasino? I know you were doing some RTA tonight.
Yep, I'm actually almost done. I have RTA going in the background while we're talking, actually. Some Night Nurse abilities, which is certainly taking a while because she's not very fast, and I'm not manually playing it too.
I'm sure a lot of our viewers are also doing RTA right now.
That's probably true. But yeah, as far as like my thoughts on the changes, it's added a little bit more to my daily play, having to do at a minimum 10 matches worth of knockouts. But it has really streamlined the weeklies because, as you mentioned, and I did want to just kind of correct you. You'd mentioned like class, and then you kind of threw in some origins and some class. But the origins are like the bio, mystic, tech, and then the classes are blaster, brawler, controller, those things. But they've really streamlined it by making sure that you get one of each. So you'll get one alignment, which is hero villain. You'll get one class, one origin for all the big ones. Because when you would get competing things, like when you get like protector and controller, you can't have a character that's a protector and a controller. So it made it extra annoying. So you would bring in a bunch of protectors and then you'd bring in a bunch of controllers. It would take twice as long. So it's definitely streamlined it now. There are some combinations that are much quicker and easier than others, but just generally speaking, the fact that you can do them all, as a more streamlined process is much easier. And so I feel like I was able to bang them out a bit quicker today than I normally would. I have all my weeklies done already.
Okay, so this week we had a battle pass issue that was resolved, and we all got compensation for it, which is actually a in-game mailbox, which basically, I'll pull it up here right now. I've got it in my mail because I saw this thing and I was like, I've never seen this icon before. I don't know what it is. And I thought about it for a sec here, and the text here, I've got to say, doesn't tell me what the hell it is. And I click on it and it doesn't do anything. But if I claim it, granted, I've done 0 RTA so far. I have 0 levels so far. So I'm going to claim it. I'm going to go check my RTA, and I'm told this is supposed to be 1 level in the Battle Pass for the event. And look at this, I'm still at 0 of 250. I don't get anything for it. And I was already at level 100 when I got it in my inbox for the previous season. So it literally did nothing. It does nothing. This is the most uneventful compensation I've ever seen. I don't know what to do with this.
Hey, no, you got a free excuse to click something. You got a little exercise for your finger there.
I don't know what to do with this. This is so silly. Because
Apparently, it was working for people who weren't already at 100 last season.
Okay.
Those are the only people it did help. So that is a last season +1 level.
Yeah, but it's only 250 points then, out of 25,000 that you need. So it's not that big of a deal. But it's still just kind of like, why not just send people like 200 cores or something? That's the price of 1 level, right? If you want to manually do it, why not just do that? Because then it doesn't matter. Everybody can enjoy that. That would be great. That would be the way to do that compensation.
Listen. We're not going to give people 200 cores. I mean, that's like 12 achievements worth of power cores.
I gotta say, I am absolutely. I honestly, I am super surprised that this did not give me 1 level in the new RTA season. So that means somewhere in the back end of that unclickable icon, they decided it only applies to RTA season 3, not season 4.
No, you give them way too much credit. I don't think they decided that at all.
No? Okay.
I don't think that was a conscious decision one bit.
Okay, they definitely put some sort of unique ID on it or something that happened to marry it to season 3. So now I'm rank 101 in season 3, so that's pretty cool, right? Like, yeah. I can't even take a screenshot of that. But come on! Like, I actually told people in my alliance, I was like, I'm pretty sure this is what it does.
Save it.
Yeah. It was like, save it for the next one, because it'll save you, 250 points. Because who knows? Maybe that'll help you next season. And it does nothing. So I don't know. Do we pour one out for our RTA home?
I mean, it's the most scopely thing I can think of. The compensation for their original mistake is broken.
Yes.
You doesn't get more scopely than that. So yeah, cheers. This is why we drink scopely.
Cheers, yes. All right. So this week we had the announcement in the inbox that there is a new update coming with 3 playable characters. The Strike Pass, which everybody is highly anticipating. The 3rd anniversary event, so 3 years of this game being live and active. And then a new event campaign and more! So a lot coming in this next update next week. So can you tell us any more about this update, Khasino?
Well, I can tell you that they finally officially confirmed the identity of the third character. So we now know it's going to be Silver Surfer, Multiple Man, and Polaris. So if you hadn't heard, now you know. And so we can now expect it in about a week. Usually when this mail goes out, it's in about a week. But we've been expecting that this will be here like Tuesday-ish. So yeah, I'm interested to see when this actually goes live. And then I'm just looking at my notes and stuff on this upcoming event, seeing what I do have on this.
You'd mentioned in the past you thought it would be March 16th for the update, which is pretty common because it's a Tuesday, so it's not the beginning of a war. And then the other thing is that milestones tend to sync up every other Wednesday for all the milestones ending at the same time. So that would be Wednesday the 17th, which is always the perfect time to introduce new milestone events. However, we do have Moon Knight still going on, so I have a hard time expecting them to introduce another character milestone event on top of another one. I don't believe we've ever seen that before, have we?
We haven't, but which character milestone event are you talking about?
Well, potentially Silver Surfer or anything like that.
But
we don't know, right?
Well, Silver Surfer will be the primary character in the next patch, so I think he will be up next, so to speak. But it's not confirmed, but if he were going to be milestones, he would be the World Warrior, the High Roller, and Save the World milestones, which are technically those are unaffected by what we have going on here. I don't remember if we've had like Emma in the milestones while like there was a Red Guardian event going on or something like that, but they don't necessarily clash. So we certainly could have it all going at once. That's even his release method.
That's still a little bit up in the air, right? There's a little controversy around that.
Here's all I can tell you about his release. I do know that his release method is described as something that will be available to all players. So whether it's a character event campaign or whether it's a milestone event, whatever it is, it'll be an event, and event was the word used. It'll be some sort of an event that everyone will have the opportunity to get Silver Surfer right when he launches. And then the way they're going to make him farmable down the road, at least as of now, what I've heard is that the plan is that he will be part of the newly overhauled raid season milestones. So as crazy as this sounds, and I realize that in me saying this, a lot of people are going to be mad, but I'm not saying this because it is what I want you to do. I'm just saying it because this is what it will make sense to do depending on how serious you are about getting a big Silver Surfer. It sounds like once he's done being very available up front, like Emma and like Symbiote Spider-Man, that they are then going to move him to a method where you will get him very, very slowly. I'm guessing that he'll be a reward for the very top level raid season milestones, or even if he's scattered throughout, but maybe you get it like one shard at a time every 4 milestones, something like that. We don't know the value, but it sounds like once his initial event is done, they're intentionally going to make him very rare because he's very powerful, which is not uncommon. It's exactly what they've done with Emma Frost, exactly what they've done with Symbiote Spider-Man. So again, I'm not saying this because I'm a shill for Scopely. I'm saying this because if you foresee yourself down the road trying to play this game and keep up with the meta and you really like Silver Surfer, you might want to spend a little bit extra or go really, really hard on his initial event, because I suspect he will be very, very slow to obtain beyond his initial event.
That sounds right. I mean, we still can't farm Emma, right? And I don't know how long it's been since we had her final third milestone event. Symbiote Spider-Man is still only in the milestone orbs at the very low drop percent. Same as Coulson, really. Yeah, it's going to be something, because these are all really good characters for the most part. And if we don't have access to them other ways, then yeah, the only way to get them is probably going to be buying the offers, which is... Yeah, but that's I'm sure a lot of the free-to-play community is not going to like this, and of course a lot of the Dolphins are going to have to think about how they spend their cash, because Silver Surfer's kit looks incredibly OP.
Yeah, put it lightly. Yeah, no, I think worst case scenario, he's a top 3 character.
Yeah, that's hedging your bet very very mildly.
Yeah.
So, on that topic, we will talk a little bit more about the dev blog from Wednesday, which was sent out and talks a little bit about Silver Surfer, the new meta-breaking character to come to Marvel Strike Force. You can read here in the blog a little bit more information about him, but I think for MSF players, the primary thing that we want to know is about the kit. What does he do? What's he going to do for us? And where are we going to put him on our roster? And I think that, of course, generates a lot of questions around what to do, who to put him with, and it seems very open to me. Khasino, how do you feel about this new character and his kit, his generic traits of Hero, Cosmic, Mystic, and Blaster? No team tags. And what seems to be a monstrous kit for his basic, special, ultimate, and passive.
Yeah, I mean, you said it pretty well. He's very plug and play. I like that he does not have a strong team affiliation, and he's designed as a kind of an all-purpose solo character, kind of like Doctor Doom. Just like wherever you put him, he's going to do well. Doctor Doom was even slightly more limited, not too much, but he had like if there's a Fantastic Four member, get a little perk. But even that's not too restrictive. That was like maybe a duo thing. But yeah, Silver Surfer, very flexible, just needs Hero Cosmic, and then he gets a little benefit if he's facing Villain Cosmic, but by no means do you have to take him into Villain Cosmic to have him be good. But yeah, he looks incredibly broken. Worst case scenario, I think he is a top 3 character in the game. He may very well be the next best character in the game. There's aspects of his kit that are just absurd, but yeah, he gets rid of all of his debuffs. If he's a striker, he will also follow up on a basic attack, not only getting rid of all his debuffs, but then stealing all the positive effects, which is bonkers. He has his health, like all his stats are just ridiculous. He has so much health. He's second in resistance only to JJ. Like his stats are just bonkers. He has more damage than Black Bolt. I don't know how that makes any sense. And yeah, his kit, like just healing 5% max health on any turn. He's just crazy. He's just an insanely overpowered character, and they know what they're doing. So I want to pivot a little bit and ask you this. Because people have differing opinions, and this is one of the things where like we can have our suspicions, but we'll never really get an official answer. So I got to ask you regarding like your level of cynicism. This, at this point into the game, coming up on the 3-year anniversary, do you think that Silver Surfer was just like, this is exactly how they planned to release him, and it just happened to coincide with like a bunch of turmoil in the community, bad luck timing, that it looks odd? Or do you think that this is absolutely a response to a lot of the chaos that's been going on as a way to, just guarantee they make bank on a new character?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's a little bit of forced push in the release date and the release of the information. I think that a Wednesday blog for a new character is absolutely unrealistic. Like they don't do that. They don't do that. So that is absolutely a deviation from the norm, and I think we can attribute that to the community feedback and outcry for changes in the game and improved benefits to the community, mostly free to play and Dolphin players. I think he is the response from Scopely to say, hey guys, quiet down now. Like we hear you, okay, whatever. But there's this guy over here, and it's just it's the shiny new toy for them to shake for a lot of the user base to say, hey, look over here. Hey, if you don't buy this guy, you're gonna be way behind. Like, and I think we saw this exact same thing play out when Fix MSF came out. It must have been a year and a half ago or something. It was like January of 2019, I think. I don't know exactly when it was, but it felt like it was early 2019. But Cyclops and Symbiote Spider-Man came out, which seemed a little bit rushed, I would say. And they were both really good characters. Symbiote Spider-Man in particular is still a top 10 character, absolutely, and a necessity for Dark Dimension. This guy just seems like a necessity for everything. So it's hard to say. Like, I mean, I don't know what you wouldn't use him for. He is absolutely legit across the board, plug and play in any team for the most part. I don't even know that you need his passives to proc. Like, he's still just amazing. I mean, I almost feel like you could just stick him with a 3,000 power character to die real quick, just to get the offense up to proc or whatever from the non-summon character dying as an ally. And I mean, he just seems off the charts in every regard. And I don't know. I wonder if he is kind of still in dev as far as his kit goes, and maybe they just rushed him out to say, you know, whatever, just put whatever you got out there now, and we'll just do that. All right, and this week we got a new blog, another one, on Friday, announcing a new couple of characters. So the first one is Multiple Man, who is in the graphic here at the top. But before we get to him, we're going to talk a little bit about the Stellar Celebration. So, of course, Marvel Strike Force is entering its third year of being live, and so we are doing an anniversary event for that. There are solar, galactic, and celestial orbs, which you can earn by doing campaign nodes, daily objectives, and it sounds like a rehash of a lot of different kind of events we've had in the past, so it doesn't sound like anything out of the ordinary there. The next one is the Dark Matter milestone, which is earned through, or you'll earn character shards and gear and gold and training orbs and all that. A lot of different stuff there. But the big news here is the Universal Truth milestone, which is using war credits and elite war credits to hit milestones. And we don't know if this is a daily or a weekly kind of event yet. We just know that they've mentioned that we need this. So it's certainly prudent to start hoarding those types of currency if you're not already. Yep. If you're not
save your war credits. Save your elite war credits, unless it is going to make the absolute difference of getting you Doom right away.
Yeah.
This event is around the corner. Save that currency.
Yeah, unfortunately, anybody who's still trying to get through DD4 is relying on these credits primarily to get them the mini uniques that they need to keep moving forward and get through those gear walls. And this is an unfortunate choice, I would say, on Scopely's part to utilize these as the way of doing this milestone. I don't know how impactful this milestone is going to be because we don't have any real information on it yet. But since they mentioned it, we should highlight that and say, if you don't need to spend those credits, absolutely don't, because we don't know what's in store at this point. And so just be safer rather than sorry, right? That's the key. The next thing, they're moving the anniversary calendar into effect whenever this starts, and of course, they're going to give us a lot of goodies for this. We've seen this in the past with these anniversary events. Lots of different things will be in that calendar that you'll enjoy, such as gold promotion credits for getting the 6-7 red star characters, as well as superior basic catalysts, which we all need for those orange gears, and legacy orbs and more. They'll also do a couple of daily, like a 24-hour kind of event for train and gain for 2x training modules on campaign nodes, as well as 3x gear for campaign nodes. I think we've seen this in the past for basic catalysts. Yeah, basic catalysts. Right?
Origin gear.
Yeah, so this is origin gear. So it's a little different. We've seen this in the past for basic catalysts of different varieties, but we haven't seen this for the origin gear before, which is kind of neat.
This is badly needed, and they know it. The origin gear is the molecules, the isomer, the spliced X gene, all that, and this one is the only one that isn't double, it's triple. They understand that we are hurting for this origin gear.
Yeah, so that's nice. And then double ISO 8 crystals from campaign nodes is pretty nice. And then the energy overload, which we've seen in the past, where you get 2x the energy for your refreshes, which is nice. Certainly you can spend some cores there to do that. So the meat of this block, though, is really the multiple man release, which is the next character for the X Factor team, or at least we're assuming he's the next one. They do tease Polaris in there here. They do mention her, but they don't actually highlight her as a kit or a character release in any sort of detail. They just mention her. So it does confirm that Polaris is the 4th X Factor to come to the game, whereas we don't really know a whole lot about her yet or how she's going to play into that team. But Multiple Man primarily is going to be a protector. He's going to spawn multiple versions of himself, which will have death proof and cause taunts and all sorts of stuff. And then as they die, they heal the original Multiple Man. And there's some interesting interactions that could happen there, especially with having so many of him around. There's potentially some interesting crossovers from other characters as well that could possibly synergize with him in non-X Factor ways, just by simply having those other characters around, such as like Minerva getting turn meter from when an ally dies. Things like that could potentially be beneficial to this team in the long run for either raids or war. So something to think about.
Yeah, multiple Minerva Man is going to be a pretty nice combo.
That's kind of what I'm thinking. Like I T4'd Minerva's passive for DD4 in particular to work with Hela, but with a Multiple Man, it kind of serves the same purpose, where you potentially have these the little clones or whatever. I don't know what tag they're going to get yet, but when they die, then she gets
their
tags. Bonus. The clones, are they going to be clones, or are they going to be summons, or what are they going to be?
Yeah, no, they're summons.
But Multiple Man in general looks interesting because he has a pretty cool kit for protecting his X Factor buddies. I think particularly that he summons these dupes, and that's what they're called in the blog here, is dupes. And they do say summon an additional dupe, right? And when Multiple Man is attacked, and on spawn, summon 2 dupes as well. I know some people were hoping that he would just fill all the empty spots with dupes when he's in a match. He could potentially, but not on spawn, right?
No, right, not on spawn, but he has an ability that's just. Yeah, he'll just spawn up to 9 of them, though, with one ability.
Yeah, so that could be interesting. Yeah, depending on how many times he gets attacked, I guess.
No, again, he has an ability that just summons 9. So if he makes it to that turn, even if he's the last man standing and he's alone, he'll just instantly fill the board.
So, what do you think about symbiotes going against this guy?
Well, so you beat me to it. You beat me to it. So what I was gonna say is that he's a very interesting character, and I like, this is exactly what I was asking for when as soon as the name Multiple Man started floating around. I'm like, what a great idea for a tank. He could just always be popping up with different dupes, and like the ultimate Hydra, strike me down, 2 more, she'll take its place, stuff like that. I was like, you could have a lot of fun with him as a character. He's a one-man whack-a-mole, and so. I like Multiple Man, and I do think he's interesting, but I have started seeing people be like, oh, that's it, he's broken. He's broken the game. He's too powerful. And it's kind of absurd. Firstly, because, offensively, he's not very scary. So he's just kind of getting in your way. Yep. And so anything that, just removes positive effects, like if the clones aren't taunting, and they're not doing much, they're healing him, but you can heal block him, and then that's the end of that. But yeah, especially, he's hard countered by just anyone that gets resets, man, Black Panther will have an absolute field day with these guys, and the symbiotes will just he is an absolute blessing. Symbiotes in any node that he's on is just a free win. So I think he's cool. I think he's interesting. I agree with you. It's a shame that his dupes can't crit, but yeah, I think that he looks good. But I don't think he's game breaking. He will have some counters. You'd mentioned him with Minerva to keep feeding her speed, which is not something I'd considered for a teammate of his. And you're right, that will be amazing to make her very fast. I had, however, considered Minerva on the other side of the field, which is don't worry, no one's dying today.
Yeah, that's true.
Except for a bunch of Multiple Man dupes. They're going to die today.
I could see some timeouts, maybe.
Yeah.
Just you killed one of my guys? Zoop! Here they are. They're back now. But that could be some fun.
We're just going to run into, Greg blowing himself up to take a dupe with him. It's just chaos. Chaos
could be really
and pandemonium.
Yeah, that would be entertaining. And the other thing is since this patch, they mentioned Polaris, but they don't outright specify that she is coming this patch. But we can deduce it from the language and the Reddit posts and whatnot. That's still
and I'll confirm it for you. Polaris is coming next patch.
Of course, but that leaves this team with only 4 characters, so we need a 5th. And I personally don't really have anywhere that I really strongly feel like Minerva needs to be right now. So that could be kind of fun to keep the X Factors going and, you know, use that drain and everything to kind of like finish off some people and keep them alive. Because if you lose Shatterstar or Longshot early, that's really painful. And if you can just revive them with Minerva, then man, that totally switches the fight up, especially with all these multiple men like running around. So that could be really interesting to see what happens there, and that could be a really fun X Factor plus Minerva team. I don't know what I would call it, but you know, we can probably throw around some fun names with that.
Min Factor, whatever.
Yeah, X Nerva or something. I don't know. But
yeah,
something like that. I think that could be really interesting. But at the same time, we don't know what Polaris' kit is. So I don't know what she's going to be for this team. But as long as she hits things and has the ability to crit, I think I know what I'm going to do with her. I've cloned a long shot in the Doom Raid with 2 X Factors. And once I did that and got them all full turn meter, the enemy and my team that wasn't X Factor never got another turn. It was just crit. All right, so the next topic in the blog was the legendary event rotation. And I think people have been asking for this for a while, is to change a little bit on the way that the legendaries come back. It's been basically every 2 weeks we get a legendary, because there's, what, 11 legendaries in the game, I think. It's a lot to throw at people, especially if you're a newer player trying to grind up and actually unlock some of these characters that are new to you. You're trying to think of like, man, I gotta get 5 characters, 5 stars, or 6, right?
Yeah.
Of all these different characters to get there. And so it's just kind of silly, like, you know, they need to de-legendary some of these characters. They need to remove them from this legendary rotation. So we've already seen it with Iron Man,
Star-Lord.
Right? Yeah, Star-Lord.
Yeah.
I would venture to say Star-Lord, Fury, Shuri, Invisible Woman, like all these characters should be carrots on a stick in the events section for new players to say, oh yeah, if I build my characters up to 5-star, I can unlock this one immediately. Instead of having to wait potentially up to 3 months to get these characters that are good, maybe not game breaking, maybe at their level they're pretty good, but I would love to see something like that. So this is good. Like, they're making it more frequent. At least it's not going to be permanent like we've seen for some of the legendary characters, but it's going to be more frequent, and that's what we need. So what they're saying is they're going to give the bonus events for the 2x shards for these things, and then the login calendar is going to convert to an inbox email instead of being a pop-up every day, which I like. The next thing is the Nexus Campaign Edition. So of course Beast is going to be moving to Nexus 5/6, who is a very, very important character to the Astonishing X-Men. He'll be replacing Green Goblin, but that makes him farmable or fountainable, whatever you prefer as a term. But of course you can favorite him in your roster and make sure you hit him every day, because Nexus 5/6 is not something you normally hit, I don't believe, and so you need to make sure that you're hitting him every day, kind of like Stature for the same regard, where I have her favorite in my roster, because otherwise I'm going to forget to hit her every day because she's not on a node that gives me orange gear. So that's something to consider, is that he's going to one of those purple gear nodes.
Yeah, and whether you like, depending on where you're at in the game, he makes the Uncanny team way better, and he's absolutely pivotal on the new Astonishing team. So yeah, Beast is just way worth farming. So I'm welcome. He's welcome.
That's true. I am missing him a little bit on my Uncanny X-Men with Phoenix, Cyclops, Colossus, and Psylocke. I've slotted in Wolverine in his place because he's the next biggest one. But I could also swap in Storm instead. But either way, it's like, this team really takes a dive off a cliff without Beast. that
Beast
ult
just elevated them so much.
That ult right before the Cyclops and potentially the Dark Phoenix ult is just so killer. And there's nobody else that really does that except for like a Merc LT or something, but you can't pull him off of Mercs, so it's like,
Right.
Yeah. So, upcoming blitzes, I think we've talked about this last week, but they announced quite a few blitzes in the future here. I don't have
I'll make this one short. You can go to discord.gg/Khasino and just type !next blitz, all one word, and you'll get the whole blitz schedule for the rest of the month. All right, there's the real save MSF. Bi-weekly block party, not by
Do the
month.
fucking outro, you noob.
Why don't you do the outro? You think you're so good? Go ahead, do the outro live.
Yeah, that's true. I'll give him a shout.
All right, guys. Thanks very much for tuning in. That's all we got for you this time. This whole episode is going to go up on Spotify and on YouTube. But I hope you guys enjoyed it. And until next time, peace.
Oh, and he also forgot to say, please be sure to like and subscribe. Special thanks to Livepool for editing this. There will be a link to Dutchrudder's content in the video description below. Livepool, you absolute noob. You are fired. No more outros for you.
I don't really know what to say.